Good morning, Chair O'Connor and members of the committee. Thanks for having us here today. And thank you for holding this hearing on Assembly Bill 231. Thank you to the authors for recognizing the value of investing in this. My name is Nathan Deming. I'm a filmmaker originally from Tomah, Wisconsin, cranberry country, and I now split my time between Los Angeles and Eau Claire, where I shot my most recent film, February, which is about a Mexican immigrant adapting to Wisconsin and learning to ice fish. Earlier this winter, for fun, I took that film on a statewide tour over 30 towns and cities, and over 2,000 people came out to see a locally made Wisconsin independent film. And guess what? February wasn't even the only Wisconsin film playing in those theaters. Right next door was Green and Gold, which Michael Graff wrote. And it was a special moment for me as a Wisconsinite that two films, both made by Wisconsinites, were showing in Wisconsin theaters right next to each other for Wisconsin audiences. Others here today are going to do a great job talking about economics of bringing film and TV here, but I want to talk more specifically about the long-term cultural impact of film and TV, which I'm especially interested in as a filmmaker. Culture matters. Culture is everywhere. Culture is the reason I grew up in Wisconsin, but dreamed of living somewhere else. I turned on the TV, I got a constant stream of stories about New York City and Los Angeles. I absorbed that. I started to think, maybe where I'm from doesn't matter, even though I grew up in a great community with lots of wonderful people and benefits. It took me years to realize that I actually do prefer Wisconsin, but when you don't see your home on screen, it starts to feel like a place you have to escape. Culture matters. Culture is how we understand ourselves, it's how we tell our stories. As Michael Graff also said, it's one of our largest exports, the culture and entertainment industry, and after a century of film and TV, we still maintain 69% of the global audience share, according to the Japanese financial paper Nikkei. So I saw this influence firsthand when I went to film school in London, where I met international students from all over the world who all revered the American film industry and for the most part largely wanted to move here because of it. I also saw firsthand how other countries, even our close allies like the UK and France, fiercely protect their cultural identity by capping how much American content comes into them because they understand how important culture is. Culture matters. As for the Midwest, here's the truth. Most of the stories about Wisconsin aren't made by us. When Netflix made Dahmer one of their top performing shows set in Milwaukee, they filmed it all in Los Angeles. And as Michael said, when Green and Gold was being developed, the producers tried to move it to Illinois. A movie about the Packers. Why would you do that? Culture matters, and too often other people get to define us. And what happens is our children grow up feeling like they don't belong here, that Wisconsin is just a joke or just flyover country. I can't tell you how many times in California I had to show where Wisconsin was on a map. But that's what film and TV can do. It put places on the map emotionally. And I know that's one thing I want to do throughout my career as a filmmaker is put Wisconsin on the map. And I'm not alone in this. We have so many creative people here ready to tell stories. We have a regional identity that is marketable and emotionally resonant and is still largely untapped. With modest incentives, I think we could not just see an economic boost, but a gold rush of Wisconsin stories. Because it's not just cheese, beer, and the Packers here. It's heartbreak, family, betrayal, everything that makes great cinema, and people are hungry for it. The timing could not be better. The film industry is currently shifting. Work is leaving Hollywood and going to wherever the incentives make it easiest. Our neighbors are scooping up a lot of it, Minnesota, Illinois. Governor Pritzker just announced $653 million in film production expenditures in Illinois in 2024, the second highest in their state history. Why not us? Why not now? We have the talent, we have the crew. What if some of the global entertainment names we have produced were also incentivized to come back here? What if Willem Dafoe came back here to make a film, or Mark Ruffalo, Michael Sarnowski, or David Lowery? The thing about film and TV is you never know what's going to pop off and gain traction. Just look at New Mexico. No one planned for Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul to become global phenomena. But suddenly, I'm driving through Albuquerque and thinking, I've got to go see where Walt and Jesse met that guy at the car wash. That's the kind of impact storytelling can have. Or take Montana and the success of Yellowstone. According to a recent study by the University of Montana's Bureau of Business and Economic Research, in 2021 alone, around 2.1 million visitors were influenced by the series to travel to Montana. Those visitors spent an estimated $730 million, contributing significantly to the state's economy. But let's talk closer to home. Just across the Mississippi River in Dyersville, Iowa, near where my mother's parents had a farm, they filmed Field of Dreams over 30 years ago. That farm still draws more than 300,000 visitors per year in a part of the state that arguably would not see much tourism otherwise. That's the power of culture. That's what happens when you root stories in real places and give them room to grow. I know I'll be here either way, and I'm going to keep telling stories about this state, but with your help, I won't be the exception. I'll be part of a new wave. So I'll close by briefly going back to my February tour when we screened all over the state, and in each one I did a little Q&A afterwards to talk about the film, ice fishing, all that fun stuff. But after every one, I also talked about tax incentives, a state film office, and building an industry here. I was ready for maybe some questions, pushback, a conversation, and I know this is just anecdotal, but it never came. Nobody pushed back anywhere, not even in the smaller towns, Richland Center, Shawano, Elroy. I was surprised and encouraged. Indeed, people were mainly interested. They wanted to learn more. I kept hearing the same thing. We loved seeing part of our lives on screen. And by the way, independent theater owners who make up 60% of cinema owners in the state, they were thrilled to have something local that put butts in the seats and sold a lot of popcorn. Culture matters. This bill isn't just an economic policy, it's a cultural signal. It's saying, this is Wisconsin, our places matter and our people matter, we're not just flyover country. I truly believe this modest investment will benefit the entire state, economically, artistically, and culturally, that will have unknown ripple effects for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. What struck me in your testimony is watching with my wife a number of Hallmark movies, watching different things. We happen to like Heartland, that's up in Canada, Yellowstone. You frequently find yourself watching the TV going, I wonder what it would be like to live there. What would that town be like? Would that be attractive? Would it meet the kind of people you want to spend time with? So it really rings a bell with your cultural presentation. That's appreciated. Comments or questions?
Yeah, I guess I'd second that. From my standpoint, I'm a little bit longer in the tooth than you are as far as age goes. But I grew up in St. Paul. So the big thing when I was in the 80s was Purple Rain, when that was filmed in St. Paul. And it was a fun thing to see. I hung out at that bar. I drank at that time. I don't now because I was a bad boy then. But I hung out at that bar, or I was there. And it was cool seeing all of that on the big screen when I can relate to it because I live a mile from the thing, type of thing. And with my economic development entity, we helped a film producer, Mitchell. He did the Cheeseheads. He did the Cheeseheads film about Wisconsin. And so we helped him a little bit financially, but we paid for most of the marketing to help him get the marketing out. And that was the first time I'd ever been that involved in a film making of it, and it was fascinating. And I think that's what kind of whet my appetite when we got into it to even start this. So thank you for hitting the cultural piece. Yeah.
Then you can say real quick, you mentioned that Georgia peach. It'd be great if it was a wedge of cheese that people.
Oh, I want to see our logo something fierce just to compete with the peach. Yep, I agree.
There you go. Good idea. Any other comments or questions? All right, Nathan, thank you. Great information.